Hey guys, welcome to my art channel. You can call me Workshop Artist, also known as JR. For today's video, we're going to go over how to add color to a finished drawing. And for this example, I will be using a basic $20 watercolor set that I just purchased from my local art store. Let's get started. Okay, now for the first step, it's really important to identify the base color. So for the most part, I tend to always block in and cover the entire drawing with its associated base color. So in this case, it's going to be a kind of orange-red color, since we're painting a red canary. And you know, it's typically not a full entire just plain red. It's typically like a mix between a reddish orange kind of mixture. Okay, right now I'm just going into the face, adding some grays where I noticed based on the reference I'm using. So I'm just adding some quick little some shadow areas just to let me know where the darkest area will be later on in the painting. Okay, at this point I'm adding some midtones actually on this bird. So now that the base color is dried, I can add some darker reds just to pull out some contrast. The thing about watercolor, you have to wait for each layer to dry before applying the next layer of paint. Otherwise, it's just going to bleed all over the place. I mean, some people do like that effect, but for this demonstration, I wanted to go for much more of an illustrative kind of feel. You know, nothing really hyper realistic, but very kind of illustrative in a sense. Okay, after my midtones are placed, I'm just going into the details, just pulling out some darks where it needs to be pulled out, such as areas in the feathers, in the back tail, areas on the wings. Okay, at this point, I am pretty satisfied with the likeness of the bird. I'm just going in there, doing some minor details, making sure that I'm not missing any white areas. And then I'm going to begin with the background. Okay, for the background, I'm going to be using the wet on wet method that I actually just started using recently. I found that it's a good way to cover the surface area rather quickly. So here I'm working it right now, mixing some grays and blues, trying to accentuate the reds and the oranges from the canary. I'm sorry, from the cardinal. I keep saying canary. Okay, now for the top left half of the background, I wanted to throw in some greens in there. It just ended up just turning the gray into brown, which is okay, because I typically know, or I like the way the green would look against the red. Just to help it pop out a little bit more. Right. Okay, now the background is pretty set. Okay, so at this point of the painting, I'm going to be applying the wet on wet method on the lower part of the background, which is basically where the cardinal is standing on, which is pretty much a branch. So I did apply the base color, which is brown. Once that layer is dry, I'm going to be applying some darker areas, some shadows around the cardinal, just to make it seem like it's being placed on the branch versus just floating into the negative space, you know. Alright guys, so this is for the most part how to add color into your line drawing. So basically you want to start off with the base color, then add in the darks and midtones, then finish off with the details.